Is it time to say goodbye to the pacifier? Weaning your little one off their beloved soother can be daunting and overwhelming. But don't worry, in today's video, I'm going to show you some stress-free strategies that can help you wean your little one off their pacifier if they're aged between 6 and 15 months. For older babies and toddlers, there is a different technique that I would use, and I will explain that in a video on another day. So, how do you begin to wean your little one off their pacifier? Some babies will take to weaning from the pacifier very easily, and others will struggle and be more upset about the transition. A lot of this will depend on the age of the baby, their personality, and whether they have any other strong sleep associations and how much they are actually using the pacifier throughout the day. So, depending on your little one's dependency, what their sleep associations are, and their personality, there are two strategies that you can use to wean your little one off the pacifier. The first one is cold turkey, and it is simple and it's just what it says on the tin. You will just decide one day that you're going to remove the pacifier. Now, this probably works better with younger babies, say between 6 and 9 months of age. Between 9 months and 15 months, your baby will become more attached to the pacifier as an object that they are attached to. That doesn't happen sort of under 9 months. So cold turkey probably works better for the younger baby. You will notice that most children will object to a certain degree, but if they're not overly attached and they do have other strong sleep associations, or they weren't using the pacifier throughout the day, they were just using it for sleep, chances are that after a few days of objection and a few troubled night sleep or disruptive nap times, your little one will settle back into sleeping well. The second tactic is a more gradual approach, and this is really for babies that are more attached to their pacifier, who are using it more during the day and who do not already have alternative strong sleep associations. So you would need to start by making sure that you have a solid pre-nap and bedtime routine. This is so that your baby is getting strong signals that it's time to sleep and not just relying on the pacifier. Then it is also important that you introduce other sleep associations like a white noise machine, baby sleep apps, and if your baby's over a year old, you can offer a lovey or a special blanket, some other source of comfort as well as the pacifier. And at this point, you do not give up the pacifier. It's important while you're building those new sleep associations, if they don't have them already, and making sure that they are well established, that you are still using the pacifier. So you have a lap over period, and I would say that period needs to be about 2 weeks until you are sure that they are totally well associated and relying on those other sleep associations as well as the pacifier. Now the next step, and that might not always be the case for everyone, but if you've been using the pacifier during the day just when your baby gets fussy, when they're a bit grumpy, and they are generally using it quite a lot during the day, then that's what you need to remove first. So now we're aiming to only use the pacifier for nap times and bedtimes. Now this does mean that you're going to find alternative ways to calm your baby. So it would mean giving them some comfort, it would mean distracting, changing location, maybe taking them for a walk when they get a bit cranky. Obviously, if they're tired, it's okay to give them the pacifier, but make sure that you give them the pacifier and put them down to sleep straight away. At this point, pacifiers are just for when they are in the crib and at no other time. Now, when they are used to not using the pacifier during the day, then you can move on to the next step. Now, I can't put a timeline on this because it varies from baby to baby, but you will know when your little one is no longer looking for the pacifier except at bedtime. You'll know when they're managing to cope during the day without the pacifier in general. And that is when you are ready for the next step. And the next step is removing the pacifier at nap time. Now, this is because we still want to hold on to some nighttime sleep. We don't want to disrupt all the sleep in the 24-hour period. We still want to make sure they get a good night's sleep. So you need to be prepared for a bit of chaotic nap time, and you will have to bring bedtimes earlier, move them up if your baby's not getting as much daytime sleep as they would normally because they're struggling to settle without the pacifier. But hopefully over time, and with a little bit of encouragement from you and an extra settling and making them more reliant on those other sleep associations, your baby should learn to take a nap during the day without the pacifier, and you're only left with the nighttime pacifier to deal with. Now, we're not going to move again on to the next stage until they are sleeping well during the day without the pacifier. And then it is time for the final step, and that is removing the pacifier at night. So again, once you're happy that they've got to that stage where they do not need the pacifier for nap time, you're going to start removing the pacifier at bedtime. Again, you will need to be prepared for some tears and for the fact that it might take your baby longer to settle, but hopefully, again, with all those stronger sleep associations, you're going to end up with your baby finally settling. Now, it's important that you must note at this point that you do not want your baby to start relying on other unhealthy sleep associations. So do not be tempted to feed or rock your baby to sleep because they no longer have the pacifier, because you're just exchanging one dependency for another. And at some point, you're going to have to break that habit. If your baby is really struggling without having the pacifier in order to fall asleep, you can consider some sleep training. And you will find in the description box below links to the Teething to Tantrums website, where there's a lot of details on sleep training, and also to my videos that deal with sleep training and how to do it gently. I am not in favour of the cry it out method, and I fully appreciate that your baby is struggling, maybe because you've weaned them off the pacifier. So we need to gently teach them how to settle without it. And finally, if you're going through this weaning process and you are finding it all too much, don't despair. You can leave it for later. It's not the end of the world if you decide to wait a bit longer and wean your little one off the pacifier when they are older. And that, as I said, is a completely different technique that I will explain in a different video. And a final note when it comes to weaning your little one off the pacifier, there are a few things that you need to take into consideration. I do not recommend cutting the ends off pacifiers. It makes their composition unstable, and there's always the risk that bits can break off. And they also mean that baby's sucking in a lot of air, both of which can be choking risks. Secondly, if your little one is teething or they're feeling unwell, or there's a big change going on in their life, like you're moving them from your room into their own room, or they're starting daycare, then don't try the weaning process then. They've got enough to deal with. You need to do this weaning when there's no big things going on in their life. And finally, be prepared for some tears and a little bit of upset and some broken nights. But with determination, you will get there. And if it does, as I've said already, prove to be too much, then don't worry, you can do it at a later date. Every child gives up their pacifier eventually. And when you choose to do it now or later, it's entirely up to you and what you feel is best for you and your little one. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Goodbye.